Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how to make this interactive card. You pull there and you have another message underneath. I got the idea from a lady who used to go by the name of Dreaming About Rubber Stamps, and she made her video on the 11th of March 2010. So it's like 11 years ago. But what she did was she did hers so that it was just like that, not an opening card, which is what I've done. Ignore the fact that I've got that. And I wanted to make it as an opening card because, like a lot of you, I do prefer to stand my cards up on the side. Anyway, one part of the video where the lady said about with the black piece that she had, which was this one here, to put it to cut it from the bottom up to 3/4 of an inch or something, but she didn't say which side to put it in, portrait or so. My brain wouldn't help out on this one, and I cut it, and obviously I cut it the wrong one, so I turned it the other way, and I thought, oh yeah, that makes more sense now. So rather than wasting more paper, because it wasn't big enough, I stuck this bit onto it, okay, which it shouldn't be. It should be one long piece here, as you see. So that was that. Right, next step was I made this one. And I did make it as a card, but you have a join there and a join there, and it doesn't work very well for pulling that, okay? So I knew what to do to straighten that bit out, but I couldn't work out how to do it so that there were no joins on the inside. So I gave the problem to hubby, and being the engineer that he is, he came back and said, all you need to do is have your main piece like this one here with the two folds in, and this one as your moving piece, and then you just adhere that to a card. So great, went back to the drawing board, did it, and this is what I came up with. Okay, you can see how beautifully this moves. Two mistakes I made with this. One was, you can see the green tree under there. No great shakes, I mean it's nothing really awful. And the other thing is we have to use some sellotape on the inside, and I allowed mine to come down too far so that you can see it there. I think you can see it there, hopefully. So that was another little mistake. But there's such minor mistakes that I would still use this to send to somebody, and that's what I've done on the inside. Okay. On the inside, this is my first proper card, and on the inside I have this. Now for the first time I have coloured my ribbon, which is a crinkled white, what do they call it, crinkled white seam binding ribbon, and I used Blushing Bride to match with this. But because I'd been using Blushing Bride on my markers here, I used Blushing Bride here, and it doesn't work very well at all. And just want to show you why I say that. I have a clean bit of tissue here, a kitchen roll. Now this piece of ribbon I did this morning, so it's been like this for hours, so it's had more than enough time to dry. But even when it's dry, the colour still comes off. Okay, so I don't recommend, if you do it, don't use your marker pens, use your stamping blends, because I don't believe it happens with that. I will double check, but stamping blends should be right. And what's happened here is I've got all these splodges of Blushing Bride ink on there. Now I might leave it, I might take that off and redo a piece for there. I don't know yet. But on the whole, I'm really pleased with this card. I'm going to give you the measurements in inches. In the box below, not only will I put the inches, but I'll also put the metric. Now I'm not sure I can do this in US measurements. I can do it the same as the lady did without putting on here. Whether that will make it easy for me to move onto this one or not, I don't know. So no promises on that. I will try. So I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that you're going to be needing. First of all, we need a piece of cardstock which measures 11.5 inches by 4 1/8 inches. This is mint macaroon. Then you need 2 pieces of designer series paper, and these are both from, these are obviously from the same one. These are from Whimsy and Wonder, and they both measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches. For the front piece, that's right, this measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/4 inches. For the inside, you need a piece of basic white which measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches. I've actually used thick whisper white on this, but only because I've been building up so many odd scraps where I've made mistake making thank you cards, and I have to get rid of the bit that because I work straight onto the note card, I have to get rid of that side and I finish off with one side, so I've been using those up for today. For the slider part, I'm using Mossy Meadow, and this measures 3 1/8 inches by 5 inches. And then for the 2 images, you need a piece of basic white which measures 4 1/4 inches by 2 1/8 inches. And this is optional. It is a guide for you for when you are stamping the 2 images here, and I will show you how I use that. And then for the top image, which is this one here, which is smaller than that, it's 2 inches by 2 inches. And you also need a scrap of whatever your main colour is, and this should measure approximately 3/8 of an inch by 2 3/8 of an inch. Mine's quite a lot longer because I just took it out of my scrap bag. It's the right width, and I can just cut that bit off. Right, so the first bits we're going to do is our stamping. So we need, for our double images, for our single images, for the inside of the card, and for the front of the card. On this one, what I did was I stamped little snowflakes on there. I decided that I didn't like it when I did this and it was plain. Okay, but I show you all of these because then you can decide for yourself which way you like it. So that is it for stamping. I'm going to use my Stamparatus for this one, this and this, which is here. And I have myself set up for this. I feel that I've forgotten to do something, and I have, haven't I? It's that one there. Never mind, I can always come back to that afterwards. Right, so what I've done is, with my piece of grid paper, my small grid paper, if you look for it in the catalogue, that's what it's called, small. I've done that little red triangle there, and I wonder what I've done with my other, oh, here it is. So what I can do with this one is, if I line this up here, and I am going to do, how come I've got 2 on there? Oh, that's because I didn't line it up properly. Okay, that's just as well. I can show you how I line that one up. That's right. Okay, so I've already lined that up so it fits in the corner there, and it will also fit that one there. I'll show you how I do that one when I get to it. The stamp sets that I'm using, for this one I'm using the stocking from Tidings and Trimmings, May Your Days Be Merry and Bright, which is that one. What else am I using? I'm going to be using A Joyful Christmas to You and Yours, which is that one there. and I am using this holly for all over where I've done the snowflakes on that one. I'm going to use that holly. Don't think I'm using that, am I? Done that, I've done that, and I've done that. There's a star from somewhere. Where did I get my star from? Oh, that's also tidings and trimmings. That one there. I'm using the, no, I'm using the solid one, not the framework. So first of all, I'm going to stamp this one here, but I want a stamp set to put under my lid. Let me see, I'll get it all in for you. There we go. Just make sure I don't tip it down into my lap. So I'm going to use the black Memento ink. Oh, I always forget to use this now that I have it. Let's try that again. I didn't do it too well. Oh my goodness, why did I move that? Okay, we have two sides to a paper. That's all right, just make sure that it won't be showing through. I didn't notice that moved. So let's try this again. Maybe that was because I had it off the edge of the table. Maybe I moved it that way. Oops, that's not done very well. Now it is. Okay, so that's good. Now I need to get this one lined up. I didn't bring us, oh, there's a spare one. Okay, so what I do with this, make sure it's up the right way first of all. That's not the right piece, is it? Put that one there. Where's my double? Let's try again with this one. I need to do the stocking on here first. Let's bring that one back. You won't believe it, but as I was getting set to do this, start the recording, hubby said, as he always does, good luck, and I said, I feel really well organised today. Doesn't say much, does it? Right, so let's do this a bit more. There we go, that's good. So the next one is I need to stamp on this side. So what I do is I line up where I want that to go. No, that's going in the middle because I'm going to stamp some stars around it. But before I do this one, I need to make sure it's straight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pick it up with the plate, move this out of the way, and I've got a spare sheet here somewhere. As you can see, I've already been doing this. So what I do now is pop that piece of paper in there, ink it up, and make sure I'm straight, which doesn't look as if I am. Oh my goodness, from where I'm sitting it didn't look straight. Well, that just goes to show, doesn't it? Okay, so that's good, it's straight. Let's go back and put this bit of paper back in and bring this in, line it up. Now this guide is not quite so important here, but it's very important if you're doing stamping using blocks. Okay. Now I know that this is going to fit all right, but that's what that guide is for. It means you've got to stamp inside there. Okay. One day I'll get used to that. There we go. I'll put that there. So that was the image guide, and one for the top piece as well. Move these on the table properly, otherwise they're going to go crashing down and frighten the life out of me. So this is the top image. Now this one is a bit more difficult. So I want this sentiment on it. Just check that it's right. That's it. And I left a gap because I want the bow to go down there. That's better. So that's all the stamping that I need to do with my Stamparatus. The other stamping I want is on the front here. So this is last week's scrap of paper. Now I don't want that. Oh, this, where did I get this bit? This is Words of Cheer, remember that? I wanted some holly going on my front piece because my Designer Series paper has got the holly in it as well. But no, there wasn't a holly in that design. Well, there's that one. But I thought that that was probably too big for the amount of cardstock that's going to be shown. Put those on there. I'm going to use mint macaroon, and we don't really need to do it on that half inch there, but I just feel that if you concentrate on doing the whole piece of paper, then you won't finish up with any blank areas when you do your cutting and scoring. And I did think about doing berries with it, but I wouldn't do them red anyway, so I thought if I do any, I'm just going to use them to fill any gaps in that I have, if I have any. Now top and bottom you do need to go all the way. I just keep twisting and twisting. Oops. And talking too much at times. But that one's not too bad because there will be half an inch on both sides folding under, so it won't be seen. But as I say, the end pieces will, so don't leave gaps there. haven't measured how far inwards you need to go. But if you just keep on going, then you know you're okay. Shall I? No, leave that. Right, there we go. Okay, so that's stamping. We need to do a bit of colouring. I've already coloured one of those, and I don't want to make you watch everything that I do with colouring, so I'm going to start this one. I should have done this ahead of time as well. It's clumsy. I want to show you what I do, and I'll go back and finish it off afterwards. So the two colours I do to try and match up with these, because that's Blushing Bride and we don't have it in Stampin' Blends. Mint Macaroon we do. Did I not use Mint Macaroon? Yes I did. So what have I done with that one? No, hiding. Okay, so what I did first was I used a Mint Macaroon to go and do all the leaves, and these are far too small to worry about, doing any shading. I'm going to have to redo this one because I've done an atrocious job of it. Right, then what I did was, after I'd done all the leaves, I went through and I used the light Flirty Flamingo as my pink, which does a very good imitation of Blushing Bride when it's actually dried. Okay, so I just carried on and finished that off. This one is the one that I did earlier, and I went round with the little star, and because I tend to forget what I'm doing, I lose my concentration quite easily, very easily distracted, and like she's just lost her ink again. What I did was, oh come on, what's wrong with you? That's it. I just counted 1, 2, 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I just kept going over it all like that, so that I didn't finish up with any that were solid. Okay, so that was how I did that one, and I put Wink of Stella on the top of the cuff of the stocking, and I've also done it on all the little leaves. I don't know whether you can see that. I think, oh yes, you can see it on the cuff of the stocking. I'm not sure whether you can see it on the leaves. I think possibly you can. Okay, so there was that. There's that one. That, which is, I'm going to put the bow on it. And where's my top? I should have had a top image as well, shouldn't I? Oh, that is a top image. Top, double, inside, and that one. That's it. I knew I had to have 4. Okay, so what we're going to do next is, you just excuse me a moment. Just have a slight runny nose. Okay. Right, we're going to do scoring next. So there's that is, and this one. So next you need a trimmer. And for this piece, you need to put it on portrait and score at 1/2 inch either side. So that's 1/2 inch, and then that's 1/2 inch, and then the card base needs to be scored at 5 3/4 inches. We still need our trimmer, but I want to do the folding first. Nice good crease there, and then good creases on these two halves. I could have chosen to do this bit any kind of width I wanted. I could have done it so that it fits the whole piece there, but I quite like the change between all of it. Right, so what you need to make sure is the length of this is identical to the length of that. If it isn't, just trim a little bit off. Mine looks as if it's okay. That's the first one. Now we're going to do some cutting on this one, and we're going to do some cutting on the slider part. I'll bring my trimmer back again. And on this one, if you line your edge up to 1 inch on the right hand side of your trimmer, and then you need to cut from 3/4 of an inch down to 5 inches. Okay, let me just double check that I've got that right. I've just got to go back a little bit. Okay, and then down to 5. A bit further than I wanted, but not to worry. And then line this side up at 1 inch and repeat. So let's start at 3/4. That looks good. And then come down to 5. That looks good. Okay, so that's how you're going to get your sliding piece in. Now for this one, you put it in landscape, line the left hand side up at 2 1/8 inches, and then cut from 1/2 inch down to the bottom. You're not meant to do that. Let's try that again. That had lined up really well. Right, stay where you are. Oh, it's got to go back a tad. Okay, so that's 1/2 inch right down to the bottom. Okay, so it's like one thin leg and one fat leg. Right, next we need to adhere our long piece onto here. And what you need to make sure is that that side there and that one and that one and that one all have a cut above it. Okay, mine are coming out over slightly, but that doesn't matter too much because I'm going to glue it in place. Okay, so I'm going to use Tombow to adhere this. Two things I'm not using today. One, I'm not using dimensionals, and I'm not using my Big Shot either. You can use dimensionals on the front of your card if you want to, on the smaller sentiment. That one there, like where I've put the bows, that could be up on dimensionals, but you can't use it on there because you'll stop the slider. Okay, so line that in between your cut lines. In fact, for the first time, mine actually looks as if it's a bit longer than the gap between those two, but no worries, you can go on the inside. The slider will sort that out. So there we go. I think that looks nice, doesn't it? Next we're going to put this part of our card together, and my designer series paper, it's here. I love this design. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. So that's going to be going on there. I didn't leave much of a gap round there. Ah, hold on, one of these, right, that one's got to go on the inside. I did label these outside and that one inside, because that one isn't quite as tall as this, which means it's better suited for the inside. There we go. Right, so Tombow. If you wanted to use another sheet of dimensional on this sheet here, instead of stamping on it, it does work. You can do that. It just means that when you cut through it, you need to put an extra bit of pressure to go through the two pieces of paper. But you might feel that using one big piece like this, where most of it gets covered up, is a bit of a waste. And you wouldn't want to do two pieces. There we go. And then on the inside, I'm going to put this one. That's okay. Make sure it fits okay with this. Yes, because I left an extra bit around that. You can see I didn't plan the cut there because it's not got anything terribly exciting there. And if I put that upside down, at least there's some pink berries up there. And yes, I am going to use this piece. Am I? Or shall I just leave that and come back to it afterwards? Methinks I will come back afterwards. Okay. So, can you pretend I've adhered that bit down as well, please? I must replace that. I don't like that bit at all. Okay, so that's good. Right, now the fun. This piece here, I think we punch the finger notch first. You may decide that you don't actually need to do the ribbon there. It's quite a big finger notch, and I think when somebody sees that, they automatically pull on it. But to me it's another little bit of attachment to it, if you like. In fact, I'm going to have to use white, aren't I? Okay. So to punch the notch, you need it on the right hand side. I'm using a 1-inch punch. If you don't have a punch, you could use dies and run it through the machine just to get your finger notch. I'm doing about halfway through here, and I'm doing enough so that I can leave room to punch a hole to get some ribbon through, and I'm making sure that is about the same. Okay, and then I need to punch a hole again. This is the front of my card, and that is going to, that size is identical to the front of the card, right? So if you just line that up, then you know how much you need to punch this. It actually gets covered up, and it is better if you do it a tad smaller rather than trying to do it a tad bigger. I know that because I tried it and I got myself in a real turnate. There we go. Okay, that's fine. So now we've got to get this piece so that that covers the first piece and that goes behind this piece. Okay, so remember, it's this piece, it's the other end to the finger notch that we've got to get the thin leg in. If you put the thin leg in, fat leg over, make the thin leg come through there, and what you also need to do is you've got to make sure, if you push this up to that fold like that, you've got to make sure that closes properly, which mine doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to take that out and I'm going to cut a tad off of this end with the cut bit. It's because they are the same size, but they lose something because of the two score lines there. Okay, so that's what a little tad you need to cut off. So as I say, I'm doing the open end here. Alright, I'm not taking it off the top because I think that would make it too thin on that bit that hasn't been cut. Okay, so I'm lining mine up to the edge of the brown line down there. In fact, that looks a bit too big. No, I'm not lining it up there. I'm going to bring it back so I can see some brown. I'd rather come back and cut twice rather than cut once and cut too much off. Okay, so that's how much I've done. So let me see if that works. No, that's still. Okay, let's line that up again, just onto the brown mark. My goodness, I've never had to cut this 3 times. I'm sure that first cut, if I'd stuck with it, would probably have been enough. I'm getting a little bit twitchy now. Thing is, if I cut it too small, then it's not going to stay still in there. Oh, there we go. That's it, done it. Okay, so that's how much I've had to cut off, which is quite a lot really. But as I say, it's much better for you to do one piece at a time and then actually go back. Right, let's go back to this again. with a finger notch at this end and the thin leg here, leave the fat leg on the outside and then slide it in like that. Now once it's in, you should be able to close it so that it fits nicely. Okay. Yep, that's good. If you feel yours is a bit tight after cutting all that off, you may want to cut a little extra bit there, which I think I might do. Where's my scissors? I'm only cutting an absolute tiny bit. Alright, notch that end. Put the thin trouser in, thin leg. There we go, that's better. And then that will close. Okay, and when it's closed, it will slide along beautifully. As you can see, that's wobbling, so we're going to correct that bit. And the reason it wobbles is because we've cut that and it's going like this. And as I showed you, mine came over too far, and so you need some tape. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the width of this, I'm going to put it across here, so it's side to side the width, and then I'm going to tuck it underneath as well. I found that by putting it on just the top wasn't sufficient. So I'm just going to pop this underneath so that I don't put this on my cardstock. I imagine that's probably about the amount I need. Now make sure that these two are lining up to each other, not overlapping. Okay, and you can really give that a good rub down with your fingernail. And then I'm going to just turn it over, have a look, and that tells me that it's okay to tuck that bit under because it's not coming up too high, which means it won't come up too high on the other side. Now gently bend this towards you, but don't make a crease in this bit here. And then you just fold that over. And lift that, and then again run your fingernail over it to make sure it really does get stuck firmly. Okay, so then over time that is not going to start going wobbly. It's going a bit wobbly at the moment because I haven't got those bits adhered down yet, but when they are, will stay really nice and firm. Okay, so the next bit we need to do is to adhere this onto our card front. And the way that I like to do this is I'm going to put tape on here, and then I'm going to put Tombow on it, because if you've got just tape it's very difficult to manoeuvre, but if you've got Tombow you can move it. And the other thing is I don't want that to be left open like this one. Okay, so what I did was I just put a little piece of cardstock, which is this little scrappy bit you've got. I just lined that underneath here, so when it closed there's cardstock all the way along. You've got your two folds and then this little extra, so you don't get a dent down there, you don't get a bump. Okay, so that's got to come up this end, and I'm going to put that there. Oh, let's turn that over. Mind, it's all going to be covered. Okay, and I'm going to cut it off so that it slots in just between those two. Okay, so first of all I'm going to pop that in place. Now if this should fit on there nicely. Yes, it does. You can do a piece wider than this if you like, because you're not going to interfere with the workings on this bit. So I'm just putting that one down. There we go. So that is a complete run across there. It's not overlapping at all. Okay. Right, now we'll put some tape on here. In fact, you might find it easier to do it this way round. Now I'm going close to the scored line, but not too close, because when I get the tombow on there, I don't want to be, I don't want the glue to ooze out. I'll do this, then I'll bring it up to show you, so you can see how close I am to the score line. The lady who made the video all those years ago, I don't know whether she's still a demonstrator or because she could have just changed her name. I don't know, and I never knew what her name was, but she was one of the very early demonstrators that I used to follow all those years ago. Right, making sure that's all nicely glued down, and that is not actually going to be big enough for what I'm about to do, so I'll bring this in as well. Turn it over, it's a bit distracting. And I will also need a piece on here as well, so don't let me forget that bit. Yeah, that's good. It's just, mind you, it's got to be a bit wider. It's the other side of the first piece. Oh, it's been a long day today. There we go. There's that. I have to say that if you don't worry about doing this piece here, life is easier when getting this on top of your card. The reason being, you can do one strip at a time. Mind you, you could do one strip and then those two afterwards, couldn't you? Didn't think about that. Shall I give that a go? Find out whether that is easier. We always like the easiest way, don't we? That's okay. Put that back on. That's off. Am I doing top or bottom? Bottom. Okay. That's good. Because what I like is, I like to use my quilting ruler, just make sure that I'm nice and straight. Okay, so, oh, didn't show you how close I was when I brought my tape on. Mind you, you might have been able to see that. So again, I'm just putting tombow on the actual tape on the side going towards the fold. And a little bit over on that side. And all of that looks rather sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blot it on a piece of paper. In fact, I could blot it on this, couldn't I? Okay. So I blot that on there, fold that over so that I don't get myself stuck on it. And my card, I want this to go on the bottom. So just eyeball that, so that's right. And I'll get this ruler. Oh, make sure you're in place. Okay, because it all lines up. There we go. Okay, that's DSP to the black line. If I've got it straight. There we go, that should be it. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it over and give that a bit of a rub. Now I can do my, yes, this is much easier. Okay, so I'm going to expose that because now this has only got one place it can go because that has been stuck down. Okay, but I will still put the Tombow, largely because apart from it being easier to manoeuvre, which I don't need to do it now because I've got the other side down, but also I think that it does make it that little bit stronger, and it helps to get some Tombow on the bit where there isn't any tape. Okay, right, don't put so much on this time. There we go, that's enough. That's off. And then fold down. And then fold down. So there we have our sliding card. Isn't that brilliant? Okay, so we only need now our little bit of ribbon. Oh no, we don't. Let's have this one as well. So that needs to go on top. As I say, this one you could do by dimensionals if you wanted to. Oops. There we go. What I will do is, when I put this onto my blog, which will go live the same day that the video goes live, I put all the ingredients of this card in the box below the video. But for the other card, like that one and that one, I will put the ingredients on my blog when I'm writing about that particular card. Okay? So if you're interested to know what's on those, that's where you'll be able to find it. Now I'm going to punch a small hole here, and this is a 1/8 of an inch hole punch. I think this is discontinued now. Right, when you punch the hole, you don't need to punch through the back. And you want to go a little way in. As I say, you don't really need to do this, but as I've done it on my other cards, I'm going to do it now. And ribbon scissors. Now this is the white crinkled seam binding that hasn't been painted. I'm trying to get that through with that fold so it's still as a Cancer bow, which I don't think I've done. No, I haven't. Wonder if I can turn it. It's just that it sits nicer if you can do it like that. Never mind, I'm not going to worry about it. So put those two through there. Gently pull them both through. Pop that there. Tidy up the ends. This is so amazingly soft, this. That's better. It went round the bend. Oh, and that one has as well. That's better. So there's that, and I will do a white bow for the front. Not really what I wanted, but I don't want to have the same mess as I did before. Right, I'm taking a piece of ribbon that's about 13-14 inches long. Probably too much, but I'd much rather have more than enough. Now this is what I used last week's video. Okay, so I am going to go, I'm doing a double bow by the way, so it's once, twice, and then keep these flat and fold over like that. This top one, fold over and keep it straight as it comes through. In fact, last week I held this up for you, didn't I? Let's try that again. I think I used a couple of blocks of... that's better. You should be able to see it now. Okay, so that's round once, round twice, making sure it stays straight, and then lay one on top of the other so they stay straight. The one that's underneath, bring over and tuck it under. Again, keep it straight. So the only thing that happens to them is they go round corners. And then keep these straight, wrapped over my finger. And then tie in a tight knot. And let's slide it off. I'm going to put it back on the Demonstrator's website, the sandbox, that we want a bow maker. I know it's a terribly old-fashioned idea, but my goodness, it's good. It's an idea that actually works. Okay. So now that I haven't painted this, you want to go that side. I'm going to use a glue dot because the glue dot just would not work on the painted ribbon. There we go, that's better. And the reason I wanted a glue dot was because the glue dot is actually too big for the size of the knot there, but if you position it carefully you can get it to hold the two tails down as well. Put them out straight like that, right near the top. Push it on there. Didn't get the tails, so I wonder if I can do that separately. Oh, I've got one of them, so the other one might stay. Let's have a look. There we go. And then just tidy this off. There we go. And that's today's card. Don't you think that's lovely? Brilliant, really superb. So many thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and I really hope you give it a try. I've tried to give you a few options of different ideas what you can do, like the decorating this or not decorating this. That one I've put gems on. I think that could do with some gems as well. I will put some gems on, and then when I photograph it, it will be on my blog for tomorrow. And don't know if that needs it, but anyway, if I do it, the photographs will be there. All the measurements in inches for A4 cardstock users and metric users will be in the box below, together with the ingredients that I've used to make this card. Details of these two will be on my blog as well as this one. And if you've enjoyed my video, please click on the subscribe button down there in the bottom right hand corner. If you want to place an order with me, there'll be a link to all the products that I list in the box below. That'll take you straight to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. And if you put the hostess code in before you check out, when I send you the happy mail at the beginning of December, I can also include some free product for you. And I will try and work out the inches for the letter size cardstock users, but I'm not sure if I can do it or not. I'm not sure whether my brain will cope with it, but I will do my best as always for you. Many thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, please take care, stay safe, happy crafting. Cheerio.